Hello there, welcome back everyone. This is an exciting time. We are finally done with the Kry'klon campaign. There's a new campaign among us to prepare for. And if you are looking carefully, I have decided at least the new ship design I'm hoping to do for new race. And if you notice carefully, I have chosen the pirate style ships. Every single one of them are available to me, plus a few other stuff. And of course, with the ability to kind of turn on everything at will, once I feel brave enough to attempt it, we can actually delve into even more ridiculous type of designs. But I'm not, like before with the Kry'klons, I am not planning to stick with just the base designs. I'm here to build something brand new. So what I'm going to do, before we can actually get around to preparing the actual campaigns, design my scout fighter, ideally a construction ship, and then my colony ship, and we can get started from there. Here's the hope anyway. And like I said, I have a lot of stuff to look through here. It's a little bit of a different setup, it seems like, in comparison to the Iconian ships design I was using for the Kry'klons. Jeez, how the hell did I forget their name? But we have a lot to work with, and apparently most of this is just Terran design type of ships too, if I'm looking at this correctly. I don't know where to begin, because a lot of it comes down to figuring out what kind of ships components we have to use. So at least the plus side here with small scale ships, a simple scout ship, it just gotta look simple. So really all this is to experiment with what I have to work with. And I was hoping this would be more of an engine component, but it's something different entirely. So maybe what I'll do is at least attempt. It's gotta look like a scout ship. That's gonna be the all big thing. So if I could find a simple cockpit, because a lot of these cockpits are double-sided, I learned from using looking over some of the, damn it, brains melting. What is it? The cockpits there of the pirate ships. And unfortunately, a lot of these components are not really easy to find. So maybe this is not a good idea. Maybe I should have looked at this ahead of time, because apparently I'm not seeing a cockpit section, so this is a really good start for us, isn't it? We got wings, we got bulkhead, we got a shell, we got thrusters, we got a bunch of generic stuff. And that looks like an engine if you ask me. So it's a little bit of a different setup, so maybe this is not going to go as well as I would like, which is going to be a little unfortunate. I would have liked the thought of trying to make something different, but maybe this isn't going to work out. Give me a few moments here. This is going to take some time. And actually, with this repair module, I can kind of cheat a little bit, can't I? This thing is already like designed to be a fighter. I already know this is like a repair integrity model, so the last thing I need is to make it a little bit simple, but I guess it's apparent I did not really plan for this very well, did I? Because otherwise, I would have a good concept of how I want to build these ships. That was my mistake, I think. So, now I might have to rethink this a bit as we prepare for the actual campaign, but I'm gonna dream. I'm gonna dream I can make this work somehow. And right now, I could go with something very basic, because after all, I'm expecting a lot of these, if I do it right, to just be like very simple designs, nothing fancy or anything like that. So, especially something like a scout fighter is gonna be really simple too. Because after all, there's not going to be much to it. Just look at my drone, for crying out loud. It's like 4 or 5 different components. Sure, I was a lot less skilled back then, so I'm hoping this will work out better for me in the end. And also, if I can replicate, that might be pretty good. Not quite. I might need a second component. Also wondering if I want to change the scaling some. Because if I get a second component like that, then I can get the wings I like. Let me try and figure out the scale. It's just a shame I couldn't mirror it. That would have made things a little bit easier. So scale 30. We'll do the same here. Oh, whoops. I did something wrong here. I changed the wrong type of scale snap. I thought that was like rotation snap when I did that. So that was my mistake. So we're going to put this into place. that's actually looking fine for a simple design, but a little bit of bulk, so let's try and correct that a bit more. How do I correct this? How do I add more to it, more importantly? Unless I want to just make this bigger. That's an option too. That is an option. I just gotta move the engine back into appropriate place. I almost want to make it bigger as well. So let's stick with that. It actually looks just fine as a scout fighter itself, or a scout ship. Only thing I need is something that would house some kind of scanning electronics. I just don't know what would be good for that. And what the hell is this? Oh, that's like a top tip there, wing. If I want to throw it on there for whatever reason. Might as well add a little bit more to this. I don't know what exactly to name it, but like I said, everything's gonna be simple, and then we're gonna work on everything else. I almost wonder there. That works just fine. Can I make a copy of it down below? Not if I want it to look awful, so maybe I won't do that. And another possibility if I want is just to stretch out the wings, but I'm not gonna do that. But is there anything else I can add? This might be good for like a platform of some kind. I just haven't really planned this out very well, did I? Because now there's no flat surfaces to properly connect it to. Not to mention it almost looks like a gun of sorts. So let me just keep it like this. It's something simple, something basic, and it actually works, surprisingly. So I don't know what to call this thing, so for the time being, I'm not going to call it a prototype scout for crying out loud. But I'll just call it the Forerunner for now. Unless I can find something more appropriate to the race I have in mind, so let's see. I don't even think that's an appropriate term, to be honest, but we got the scout ship done. That's perfectly fine. Let me just change his role. Now, that was the easy part. The hard part is now trying to make a construction ship and a colony ship. So we're gonna have to figure out how to work with this. Something a little bit bulkier. Something that can if anything, I want the construction modules to be housed on top of the ship. And you know what, actually, now that I think I want to get rid of this. There. Get rid of that and get to a proper design. So how do we make this thing look like a heavy lifter? Really needs kind of like a flat surface on top. Whether I use these boxes here, that might work. I don't know if I want multiples of them. Would multiples be good? Or do I just stretch it? Stretching the textures is a bit of an issue though. This is the only concern I have with that, so let me try with two, maybe three of those, and this is like for starbase. Yeah, that's for a starbase, so I don't want that. That much is apparent. And that looks like a cockpit area, so that looks good for like a freighter. And let's see, can I connect 2 or 3 more on here? I'm gonna have to move it forward some and see how that looks. If that is ideal or not. It blends in relatively well, so long as the scaling positioning is right. That's the only thing. Because actually, compared to like the metal trim that I had with the Kry'klon's Iconian stuff, this actually looks pretty flush. There might be tiny inconsistency here, but I think that's more due to scaling. And that can be corrected to some extent by moving and stretching it out, I believe. So this is not as bad as it could be. Now the question, how long do I actually want it to be, and what the hell is this thing? I don't know what to make of this. It looks like some kind of component for a wing almost, so it's exciting times to have to relearn a new ship design, new concept, whereas I feel like I kind of got familiar and used to the Iconians. This is almost refreshing to an extent, if I were to be perfectly honest. Although, a lot of people don't really care for ship design, or at least watch me build it there, so I praise anyone who takes the time to watch through this. Maybe you can learn something, maybe not. At the very least, we're going to create something new. That is the ultimate hope for doing these kind of videos. I could even make that longer. Ooh, this looks like an excellent endpoint of some kind. Whether for an engine behind it or not, I'm not sure. That fits relatively well. Although, did I want to keep that wing there, or do I adjust the scaling to be bigger? Only thing I'm not really certain of. How high can I get before it overlaps? Now, do I back it up? How far can I back it up? Wow. This thing goes on for a bit, doesn't it? I almost want to put more cargo blocks on here, because that would seem kind of appropriate for, like, this would be the actual construction module. Instead, if I can make it long enough. Gonna be a bit of an issue having to move everything over and over again, though. But, considering this component allows for it, maybe I can get away with it. Only thing I don't know is how long do I want it. Because I think these make good, like, loading bays, or loading blocks there. They seem modular in a sense, so I feel like I could get away with that with just throwing more of these on here. I just gotta figure out where to put the construction module, and how long, again, do I make it. Because that feels good. I like that. Now, how do we connect the other half? I had a component that I thought was good for the front. I can't remember what it was. Ooh, these look like they might make good engines on the back. Will that work, though? I have to flip them over first, and we will see. That makes pretty good thrusters. How does it look when I adjust it in, though? That works. That works really nicely, if you ask me. I'm only worried about it being too flat at this point, so we need to try and make it a little wider. A little bit wider. I just don't know what's the ideal way to go about doing that. Is there anything I can do with this component? Because I was looking at this for a scout. I can almost rotate it sideways and it would look good. Oop. Let me fix that offset first. If you please. Just give me a moment here. Okay, rotate it sideways. And let's see if we can work with this some. I'm just not sure how, because now it's way too small. Again, if I can get another component to connect to it, maybe it'll work somewhere. Unless I sink it in, I'm not sure. Again, this is going to be a bit of a learning experience. So I'm not really certain how this is going to look. It has a promising start, needless to say. This almost looks like it could be, if there were no blocks, this could be what would be holding it all together. If I wanted to make it longer, to be honest. That's what I feel like right now. But what can I do to kind of connect? I don't even know what a lot of these pieces are. That's the problem. That's the big issue I have. I don't know what they are until I actually put them on. Because this looks like an actual natural end. Because I see the little block exertion. I'm not sure. So many choices, but I don't know if that's what I want. I think I want something thin, speedy, because one of the traits I'm trying to go for with these races is that they're very mobile. So I think that's what I'd like to try and do, if it's at all possible. What does this look like? Whoops, I ended up making two of them accidentally. And no, that does not look like something I want, so how do I fill up the front half? Or actually, do I actually want to fill up the front half? Because these components need to come out somehow, right? It's not like they just drop out. So maybe I don't want to do that. Just gotta make sure it makes sense, though. That's the only problem. That is the only problem. It has to make sense if I do it. If I do decide to keep it as it is. So yeah, the blocks could come out from the side there, potentially, as far as the function is concerned. That's my thought anyway. I'm not sure. And what is missing? The actual cockpit area, so we need some kind of lighting here in the front. This is not exactly most ideal. If I can get some thickness to it, that might be pretty good, because it seems kind of frail. Which, to be honest, if you look carefully, I gave him the fragile trait, so maybe that is acceptable for me. Not to mention the constructors are weak as hell anyway, so it's not like it matters for them too much. So, a lot of this comes down to what the hell these components are that I have to use. It's a bit of a problem. a little bit of a problem because I don't know what I can use them for, if anything at all. Let's see. Oh, can I use this for anything if I put it into place? Kind of more flush. It adds a little more blockiness to it, which I like. And with its shape, it could I can easily slide back or forward along the superstructure to whatever is appropriate. Almost. And it looks good no matter what. And it helps a little bit. Because yeah, what I would like to do is have it so that these blocks come out one at a time to the front. So what I need is some kind of good point at the end here that looks like it work with that. I'm just not sure of what. Although it doesn't really make it a construction ship if I were to do it like that. So many questions I'm trying to figure out, trying to decide, and I'm not sure what I want to go with. Let me get some wings on this thing first. Kind of like give an illusion that is... What the hell is this thing anyway? I keep looking at it. It looks like an engine when I look at it on the left here. So I don't know what the hell this thing is. Ooh, and we got this component that could help add some extra bulkiness maybe. Just a tiny bit. Just barely have it sticking out on the top maybe. That will work good. Do I want a copy there? I can have a copy on the bottom. It's just barely noticeable, so that works. Almost wonder if I want to invert the skins though. What would that look like? There, perfect. Inverting the skins is perfect. No one hardly knows the difference. And there is lighting there, which is actually good. How would it look if I were to put it in the front though? It could use a bit of work maybe, but I think it has potential. It's obvious. I would want to say it's way too big, so we're going to have to shrink that down. And find a good spot to put it. It's also upside down. That's also something I would keep in mind. So if anything, I kind of want to rotate it downward, so that way it fits in that area behind it reasonably well. Let's see how that looks. It's not the best. Instead, what if I have it underneath here? Instead of on top, maybe if I have it on the bottom there, sticking out to some extent, maybe that'll work. I need to find a good placement for it, because there is a bit of a gap that allows for it. What do you think, folks? That looks pretty good. It's very subtle, mind you, but it's pretty good. And I can have it stick out more if I like. And no one's the wiser. Although, does it really look like a freighter, a construction ship? I have to honestly ask. I still want to put like something on here, up on top. It looks like it could get away with it. It almost does. Maybe if I have more lighting, like on the side or something. Because these are a bit blocky, they could fit there. I just gotta make sure, be careful I don't ruin the illusion of being like a mobile construction ship. But with the lighting there, kind of like a watch post of sorts for the construction module setup I had already mentioned, this could work out well. Just gotta make sure there's no real overlap unless I shrink it back, shrink it down some, as it were. So, can this work? It's pretty damn close. I think I'm content to leave it that way. It's very basic, mind you. It is still pretty flat. So, if I can put something a little bit more on here, but I don't know what. And this looks like an engine, if you ask me. And I have no clue what the hell this thing is. So, like I said, we have a lot of experimentation to do. So I'm going to have fun with this and learn everything I can and try, feeblously, to make this thing a little more construction ship-ish. At least it vaguely attempt to. Whether it works that way remains to be seen still. But this is exciting times. I'm really excited for this prospect. Hopefully I can get a good concept design going. There is a tiny bit of overlap I do not like. So is there any way you can fix that? I need to find a round piece. A rounded section, and I'm not sure what would be good without trying all these components. That's the problem. Like, I have no idea what that is. Those almost look like grapples or something, actually, now that I think of it. So, can I use it for here? Is there any way I can use it for this section to kind of attach itself to the cargo? That might be good. I'll have to change this proportional scaling some. I even might need to revert it. So that way the arm is attached to the superstructure rather than the boxes. And we'll see if that works. The only problem is the arms. These blocks are not exactly the most ideal position, so that's a big concern I have there. Now, let's get into place, see how it looks. When I get the damn rotations right. Oh, this is going to be annoying. This sure as hell is going to be annoying, isn't it? I have to reposition again after all that brilliance. Let's try this again. See if we can make it work. And it's also off, its axis is off a tiny bit. What did I mess up here? There we go, that's better. That's better. Gotta adjust scaling some. I'm not sure which scaling I want to adjust though, because I gotta be careful of making it longer. So, just a little bit more, maybe that'll work. I honestly don't know. Does that work or not? Ideally, I would like it to be grappled to the front there, attached to the front, but I don't think it's going to allow it there, at least smoothly. Unless I do some crazy rotation some more. Like, the more I do like this, the more this box is going to have to sink in, so it doesn't ruin its things, the look, too much. So I'll have to be careful of that. And how do I make it longer, though? Without... Because I could try it like this. Maybe? I have no idea how this is going to look. It's probably going to look worse than it did before if I were to be perfectly honest. But let's see. And like I said, part of the problem is having to sink it in. So this may not look as good as it did before, which I kind of am upset about. But it seems to fit more what I'm aiming towards. We'll see. Sadly, it's not all the way up to the front, but I think that works. If that works a little bit, it looks like a movable part. So I think we could get away with that. We have the cockpit there, we have the antenna relay, now we just gotta arm it. Let's see. Let me just see what... I'll just name it the workhorse, I guess, for the time being. I don't know... Again, a lot of this is subject to change, but... I'm willing to give it a try. Now we just gotta actually arm it with construction modules on top. And what is it? With the mass, I have 90 mass, so what can I throw on here? Wow, do I already got access to a stasis field module? That's interesting. This is a fresh campaign after all, so... I'm not sure what to expect. So, where can I fit a construction module? I would like to put it just on top. But is there a way I can make that fit? Is there a way I can make that work? If anything, I should have just got rid of the boxes in the middle for the construction module, now that I think of it. I don't think I planned this out very well. And unless I can make copies, which I don't think is going to happen, is it? Well, I got copies on the bottom, so I guess it's okay regardless. Just gotta make sure the scaling's right and that these are centered. It sticks out a bit like a sore thumb unless I can get an extra module in there. Which I can actually do, interestingly enough. That's the only problem, though. I would like just more cosmetic. But I don't think there's a way to make another cosmetic one. But it's nice to know a second construction module is possible. Or actually, better yet, what if I just put it to the side instead? Connect it to the side here, but it'd have to be pretty small for it to work. And then make a copy of it that way. This is the hope anyway. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm trying some things here. Bear with me. As we get through the campaigns, they're just going to keep looking better and better. That's the hope. That's the dream, and that's what I'm going to hang on to. As we prepare. There, that looks a lot better, but still, this top is really bare, isn't it? But it's also supposed to be detachable modules for the sake of, like, cargo. Even though this thing is more of a constructor, not a transport ship, but considering how construction ships work, I could get away with it. And it's kind of what I said about the Firefly in our ships. It feels like it's a different ship altogether, but I'm good with it. Actually, let me get some actual engines on this thing. Let's start with that, shall we? Because we got some space to work with. I don't think I need life support. I don't think I really need that much life support, and if I do, I can always throw it on afterwards, so... And do I leave the engine like that? That might be good. It kind of sticks out though, so maybe I don't want to do that. So I'll just put it behind the two side engines. Make copies, so that way they can give the propulsion where it should be. And I'll just put the standard stuff in there. Life support. 2 components of life support. Just in case. I shouldn't need a third. That's the hope. And that should be good for now. So the workhorse is all established. Now we gotta figure out a colony ship.